in 1980, the book was on the Times bestseller list along with The Bourne Identity, Robert Ludlum's major novel. And he and I had the same agent, as it turned out, another one of these coincidences that turned my life around. And my agent, he would have parties for his clients, which was really a wonderful thing. And I went to one of them and I walked in and Henry said, my agent said to me, Bob's here and he would like to meet you. And I said, Bob who? He said, Bob Ludlum. And he said he read The Ninja and he loved it and he wanted to meet you. And I was stunned because Bob had a reputation of being totally irascible. He was not easy to talk with. He was not good in crowds and he didn't suffer fools lately. I mean, he could cut you dead in about a half a nanosecond. Anyway, Henry led me over to Bob. He was sitting in a corner, nursing a scotch, which was his drink of choice. And we wound up, well, like with Lennon, we wound up talking the entire night. And what we mainly talked about was our respective protagonists, Nicholas Lanier and Jason Bourne, and how certain aspects of their characters were similar, and how much of ourselves, our respective selves, were in those characters. Because Bob felt of all the books he wrote and all the main characters he created, he felt closest to Bourne. And when I was asked to continue the Bourne series, and I said to my agent and to the executive of the Ludlum estate, I'm not a ghostwriter. So if you want me to write a book that has Bob's name on it, but I'm writing it, I'm out. I'm not interested. And they said, no, you can have your name on it. And I said, I'm not writing in Bob's style either. And they said, no, we want you to write in your style. So, of course, in the first 3 Bourne books that I wrote, everyone said, it sounds like you sound like Ludlum's voice, which I couldn't understand because it wasn't, in my mind, it wasn't at all like that. But I said to them, look, if I'm going to do this, it's going to be more than one book. So what we need to realize is that, unlike when Bob was doing it, there are going to be a lot of people coming to the new books that their first introduction to Bourne was the movies, which maybe the first 10 minutes or so of the first Bourne film was like the book, and then nothing was ever the same in the books. Because by that time, when the films were being done, the books were dated, so the plots made no sense for films. And there was a moment when I felt that the same thing might happen to me, that these books would become dated and wouldn't make great films. It turned out that we couldn't even get, I mean, we made a big deal for The Ninja and it never got, that's a whole 3-hour discussion in and of itself about the horrible things that happened in Hollywood. Most of them really kind of unbelievable. But I had a lot of blowback from, not a lot, but in a certain quarter, people were very disappointed when I stopped writing about The Ninja. Well, my books always start with characters. I don't start with plots. To me, you know what a MacGuffin is?
The name.
All right, it's something that Hitchcock created. It's the thing that moves the plot along. It's the baseball that people carry in order to get from point A to point B. It could be anything. It could be a nuclear weapon. It could be a biological substance. It could be a formula. But basically, it's irrelevant. In other words, what it actually is irrelevant. The fact that you need it to fuel your plot is what's important. So to me, the characters were more important than the plot. The characters dictated the plot, and they also dictated where these adventures were going to take place. As you probably know, one of my favorite places is Istanbul. Why? Because historically, Istanbul was the meeting place between East and West. Geographically, it still is. And it also was from, I guess, from World War, well, no, even before that. From the Ottoman Empire on, it was a hotbed of spies. This is historically correct. It always was a hotbed of spies. So to me, it was a wonderful place to set a lot of the action in my books. And because it was on the Bosphorus, and it was, there was two parts of it that you get crossing bridges. It made for endless number of locations within the city for action to take place. First of all, you have to understand that Bob came to writing late in life. He was actually a producer and actor. He had a playhouse in New Jersey. And when that, for a number of years, when that folded, he went into writing. And turned out he was great at it. And he did it in an interesting way that I don't know of any. He had a transcriber, and he would dictate the books. He would play all the parts. He would describe all the scenes, and it would be transcribed into written word. So by the time he got to the second and third Bourne novels, Bob was older, and so he quite naturally made Bourne older, and had him married, and he had 2 kids, and they had grandparents and all of that stuff. When I was brought in to write the books, I said, look, we have to make him ageless. You can't, he can't be 65 years old and continue a series.